Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So here in Texas, it's already getting hot here. So in this video, we're going to be making the cutest summer shorts for my son. These shorts are perfect for beginners because it's literally only 2 pattern pieces and takes only a couple of hours to make. So stay tuned as I show you guys how to make these shorts from start to finish. The fabric that I'm using is a lightweight cotton gauze fabric, and because the shorts are so small, you really only need about a half a yard to a yard to make these. The pattern that I'm using is the kid shorts pattern from Tiny Couture on Etsy. And if you don't want to buy a pattern, you could always trace a pair of your kids shorts. Just make sure to leave room for the seam allowance and the elastic waistband. I started by folding my fabric in half because I needed to cut 2 pieces of each of these pattern pieces, and I need to make sure that they mirror each other. I pinned my pattern onto my fabric so my fabric doesn't move while I'm cutting it, and then I'm just going to cut all the way around those pattern pieces. And after removing the pins and taking the pattern off, you can see that I have 2 pieces of fabric that mirror each other. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the other pattern piece. So after cutting out our pattern pieces, we're going to take our front and back and we're going to pin them right sides together. I like to use fabric clips just because I think they're easier to work with and you don't get poked. But after pinning them together, we're going to sew across that center seam. And I'm using a 1/4 seam allowance to do this. Now after you've sewn both sides, we're going to go ahead and iron those seams. This is definitely necessary for your shorts to look more professional. So I'm going to take my iron and I'm going to iron that extra seam allowance to one side because we're going to reinforce that seam here in a second. So now I'm going to take my shorts over to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew down that seam allowance just to make that seam a little bit more secure. Now this is optional. You can choose to finish your seams however you want. Some people use pinking shears, some people use a serger, and some people use a French seam for this. Now we're going to take our front and back pieces and we're going to place them right sides together. Once we do this, we're going to pin the sides and around that crotch area and we're going to sew those together. And again, I'm using a 1/4 seam allowance with this too. And like I said before, you want to iron every seam that you do to make it look more professional. So now after sewing, I'm going to go over to my ironing board and I'm going to iron those seams flat as well. And this little device that I'm ironing on is called a pressing ham or a tailor's ham. It just makes it easy to iron over those curves without messing with your fabric. And after ironing, I'm going to go over to my sewing machine again just to reinforce those seams one more time. Now that the body of our shorts are done, it's time to add the elastic. So you want to take your shorts and turn them right side out. Then we're going to get some elastic. I'm using 1-inch elastic and I measured it around my son's waist and I took about a 1/2 inch to get the measurement that I needed. Now you want to overlap your elastic and sew it together to create a circle. After sewing, we need to mark the center of our elastic. So I'm going to take that seam that I just made and I'm going to fold the elastic in half. I'm going to mark the opposite side and that's going to show the front and the back. Then I'm going to place those 2 marks together and I'm going to mark the side to find the other quarter sides. I know it kind of sounds confusing, but maybe if you watch me, it'll be a little bit easier. This helps us to make sure our elastic is evenly spaced out around the shorts. So now you want to take your back marking and you're going to place it on that center back seam and we're going to clip that onto it. And remember, we're placing this on the right side of our fabric. So once you pin the back, you're going to take that marking from the front of the elastic and you're going to place it with the front center seam. And then you're going to do the same thing with those side markings and you're going to pin them to the side seams. Now we're going to sew around the top of our shorts to secure that elastic to it. As you're sewing, you want to make sure you stretch that elastic because if you don't, it's not going to fit your kid. Alright, so after sewing the elastic, this is what it should look like. So we're going to flip that elastic up and then we're also going to take it and we're going to flip it inside of our shorts. Then we're going to sew across the top of the elastic to secure it in place and to start making our waistband. You also want to make sure you stretch the elastic as you're sewing here too. And this is what your shorts should look like after that step. So now we're going to take our elastic and we're going to fold it inside of our shorts one last time. And we're going to sew along the top and the bottom of that elastic to make sure it stays in place. And again, you want to make sure you stretch as you sew. This is what your shorts should look like after adding the elastic onto it. As you can see, the way we sewed that elastic on makes it fully encased inside of the shorts. Now the last step to making these shorts is to hem them. So I'm going to do a regular double folded hem. I'm going to take the shorts and I'm going to turn them wrong side out, and I'm going to use my iron to fold up about 1/4 of an inch of the bottom of the shorts, and I'm going to iron that flat to keep it in place. After ironing all the way around the shorts, I'm going to flip that hem up 1/4 of an inch one more time, and I'm going to iron it flat again. This is going to cause a double fold, which is going to encase those raw edges. And to finish it off, I'm going to do a top stitch around that hem. If you're able to take this plate off, I definitely would, because it makes it a lot easier to sew around a hem of shorts, especially if you're making some really tiny ones. And after we've sewn the hem of these shorts, we're definitely done. I really like this shorts pattern because, like I said before, it's super easy, especially for beginners. It's really only 2 pattern pieces and some elastic. I love these shorts so much. I've already made them in a couple of different colors, like I have green here, and then I also made yellow. You could also hack these shorts. If you feel like they're too short, you can add a couple inches to it. You can also make them pants by making the pattern piece a little bit longer. Like I said before, if you don't want to buy a pattern, then you can use some shorts that already fit your kid, and you can use them as a pattern to make your own shorts. Let me know if you guys want a tutorial on how to do that, because I know myself, I'm a visual learner, and sometimes you have to see something before you do it. Anyways, as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!